Okay, we're going to be learning just two short things from Tafshin Yud, 1950, again, a few months after the Frierdiker Rebbe passed away. So first we're going to bring up the talk the Rebbe gave to Merkos, which was in the end of Sivan of that year. Let's bring it up here. Okay, here we go. So it says like this: Sicha of Yom Aleph, meaning Sunday, Parshas Korach, 26th of Sivan, Tafshin Yud. Asifas HaMerkos Linyon Chinuch. It was a meeting for evidently the members of Merkos, the Central Organization for Jewish Education, one of the organizations that the Rebbe led. So the Rebbe says, "Poischem Dvar Malchus." We're going to speak with the word of the word of the king, so to say. Yom Zeh, Yom Aleph Parshas Korach. This day, on the Sunday of Parshas Korach, Lifnei Sheish Shanim, before 6 years, meaning in the year Tafshin Dalet, 1944. The Beis HaMedrash, Frierdiker Rebbe, my father-in-law, came to the study hall. The Siyam Mishnayis Ba'al Peh Shenisader de Machne Yisrael, that they were doing a Mishnayis, a Siyam on the Mishnayis. It was organized by the organization Machne Yisrael, which was also an organization that the Frierdiker Rebbe gave to the Rebbe to lead, and of course still in existence today, Machne Yisrael. Bein HaDvarim Omar, between the things that the Frierdiker Rebbe said, V'kesh l'siyum Mishnayis, with regard to the completion of the Mishnayis, Shem Adam Maharash, in the name of the Rebbe Maharash, that the Rebbe Maharash said that Sima Mishnayis hu b'Seder Tyrus. What of the 6 Sfarim, Sifrei of Mishnayis, so the last Seder is Seder Taras. Sim Seder Taras hu b'Mesechtes Oksin, and of the tractates, it's the tractate of Uktzin. The Siyam Mesechtes Uktzin, the Inyan Chalas Dvash, deals with the laws of honeycombs, about the laws of Tamei Tumah, and when's it considered disconnected. It's all that. The Inyan Bezeh, difficult laws. Shaydei Mishnayis, the point is that when a person learns Mishnayis and you're completing it in the tractate, in the Seder of Taharis, which deals with the laws of purity, and then you're dealing with the laws of Uktzin, which also deals with the parts of the fruit, let's say, that are not exactly like the leaves or the stems, etc. When a person finishes Mishnayis, so through Mishnayis you elevate yourself to the level of tahara, of purity. The Gam also still an oiketz could also be like not a stem, but also like a little a prickly thing that's outside of fruit. Even good fruit, there's still sometimes a prickly thing that could prick a person, that could like you have sharp edges. It's and your person, and that's bitter, right? It causes pain. So you have to work on your oikets, on the things that are prickly about you, the Rebbe is saying, till you become sweet like honey. So you shouldn't be someone who engages you, basically, the Rebbe is saying. Shouldn't be engaging you, like trying to touch the oikets like thorns, so to say. Shouldn't be touching thorns that prick a person, that could hurt a person. Better, you should be work on yourself to not be poking people, and you should be honey sweet like tvash, like honey. And even then, but if you can always be sweet like honey, and ständig zies, like the Rebbe says, you're always sweet. A sweet one. You never have any changes. And Yechali is carbon called dvash leisaktiru. Then you can't be part of a sacrifice. Because we know dvash is specifically not allowed in any of the parts of the sacrifices. Specifically talking about the Keteris, but even in all sacrifices, we don't have any dvash, we have no honey. So being honey always is not either so good. There has to be consistency and no times of when you should be what and how you be in each situation. Let's see if there helps us in footnote number 3. No. In that speech that the Frierdiker Rebbe spoke in 1944, Tafshin Daled, which was Sunday of Parshas Korach of Tafshin Dalit, 1944. The Rebbe also spoke about what's the job of the organizations, of central organization, and Machin Yisrael. Admor Hinig V'Nil ungeführt, Ada Histalkus, V'gam La'achar Histalkus, Yamshich Linauer, Esribi and Yoni avoided the Merkos and Chinuch. The Rebbe says that the Friedrich Rebbe, again, this is very much appropriate to the ideas of Gimmel Tammuz, that the Friedrich Rebbe ran, ungeführt means he ran, meaning these two organizations, until his passing, and even after his passing, he continues to run them. All the different works and happenings of Merkos and Chinuch, of the central organization. The Rebbe said that he chose me, meaning the Rebbe. The Havi said to actualize them, means the Friedrich Rebbe is still running it. The Rebbe is still running it. The Rebbe chose me to be the person to just bring it into action. Including one of my jobs, the Rebbe says, is to raise the funds required for all the different variety of work that the central organization does, which is, of course, tremendous. The Rebbe says after the passing of the Friedrich Rebbe, it turned out that there was a little of a weakness, or kind of it tapered off a bit. Chalishis from the word weak, or the work of Merkos Linyan Chinuch, which was the acronym is Malach, which central organization. And therefore there's also lacking funding. The Rebbe says that's why I'm calling this meeting. That we should know the Rebbe is still running the Rebbe is still running this organization. The Rebbe is talking about Friedrich Rebbe. Same thing applies still today. That the Rebbe is running the organization, and the Rebbe says that at this time the Rebbe is talking 1950. It's my responsibility, the Rebbe says, to raise the funds. But he's finding that both the efforts that are obviously from the people that are working within the organization, not the Rebbe's efforts, but those who work under the Rebbe, and then therefore also in raising people should give support towards the organization. The Rebbe says it's finding it difficult. And the Kavanasi la'arech magbis appeal. The Rebbe says my point is not to be setting up a fundraiser or an appeal. But we have to figure out a plan to fix the situation. We have to know the work of the central organization, whether it's the things that everyone knows that they're publicized. And there's of course things that we don't know that are, so to say, undercover COVID operations of the Malach of central organization. They have to go on with all their strength. How could there be any thought that we should be weak now? It was obviously referring to after Yud Shvat 1950, or to discontinue it, God forbid. This would be totally opposite, against the will and the want of the Rebbe. Over Mele, obviously we could apply this all, like that's what we learned in the early years. We apply this all to what's happening now. Over Mele, therefore the Rebbe says, if the situation continues as is, because people don't want to help and people don't want to participate, the Rebbe says, I'm going to have to do everything on my own. Then the Rebbe says he can't do everything, so if he has to do everything himself, he's going to have to put away things that he should be, other things that he's required to be doing. Therefore, the Rebbe says, I suggest either one person, or there should be a board of people that they should take care of the essential things that have to be taken care of. I don't know that. I mean, the Rebbe had always under him Rabbi Chadakov. I'm not sure if the Rebbe was referring to him as well, or if Rabbi Chadakov maybe he wasn't in this position. I think he was already by then. But Iker, the main thing is she's asku this one person or this group of people, this board should be doing it. The main thing is to do with passion, excitement, not just be doing because you're forced. The Rebbe continues with Sicha now. In this talk that the Rebbe said in 1944, the Friedrich Rebbe said, America yesh chasar. There's one thing that's very faulty within the American mindset. Obviously, we see this is what's going on now. They get very warm to something very fast, and they cool off extremely fast, right? We need to look what's going on in American politics and the safety barriers to throw, not to get political, but they get excited fast, and then they cool off fast. It wird gier warm, the Rebbe says in Yiddish. The Americans become very warm fast. Wird gier kalt, and then they cool off fast too. Our efforts should be that we should stay focused, stay with the warmth and the excitement of the work that has to get done. In the brackets it says, Rebbe says he's giving his opinion. If someone else has another opinion, maybe someone should say something. And footnote number 5 says it's missing, either by choice or just happens to be missing. We see Masif at the end of the conversation on this gathering. The Rebbe said as follows: just like we started off with the words from the Friedrich Rebbe, so too we have to say something from Dvar Malchus. Is usually reference something of the Rebbe. We look into this talk the Rebbe said 1944. And other talks of the Friedrich Rebbe. You could see that there was a custom by the Friedrich Rebbe, Kamat Mecholi's fathers, that we find in all talks, all gatherings. The Friedrich Rebbe would kind of try to, and he did that in the talk in 1944 when he went in to give a Siyam Mishnayos in Machne Yisrael, and so to the Rebbe says was the custom to mention in any gathering of Kedusha, especially if I bring in all the Rebbes, the Baal Shem Tov, the Holy Maggid the Mizrich, Admar Zaken the Alter Rebbe, Admar Mitzvah the Middle Rebbe, Admar Tzemach Tzedek, the Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek, Admar Maharash, the Rebbe Maharash, Admar Rashab Nishma Seidin, his father, the Rebbe Rashab, and Achshav Shrichim Lahaisim Lahasam Gam Koyt Dish Baruch HaMiyadma. We have to add we mention the Rebbe and our Rebbe every time we have a gathering. That which probably indicates the Rebbe was crying. Yes, it says here, the Rebbe got emotional when he was crying. And he said, I'm certain, and I totally trust the strength of my father-in-law, the Rebbe, the success that we're going to have in our efforts, in our work that has to be done in Machne Yisrael, in Merkos, in central organization. In Yaldea, Africa, and one of the things that they were doing that they saw were efforts that was done with education and the youth in North Africa. We should see it more and more, strength and strength, and Amen Keni Ratzain should be for us as well in our efforts in doing the Rebbe's holy work. Okay, let's just make this a little smaller. Let's do the next talk. This is not a talk, this is a letter. I think we've learned this letter before, but it's Gimmel Tammuz. This is a letter the Rebbe wrote, Gimmel Tammuz, Tav Shin Yud, again, a few weeks after this Sicha that we just learned. And what's so important about this letter is everyone's read this letter before, but you have to come into Gimmel Tammuz tonight. So it's a letter that has to be read over and over and over again. And let's read it together. Baruch Hashem, Rabbim HaMechabshim, all those who are seeking, Umevarim, and try to explain, Mailis, Gedulas, Nisi, Chabad, Bachlal, what are the uniqueness and the greatness of the heads, the Nasi, the Nisim, the princes, the Rebbes of Chabad in general, and Nasi the reigning, and specifically the leader of our generation. My father, the previous Rebbe, again, this is something that we have to apply to the Rebbe, and especially Gimmel Tammuz, especially as we're going to see, the Rebbe wrote this letter on Gimmel Tammuz before he even accepted the leadership. If people try to explain the uniqueness in different fields, for instance, when they want to describe the Friedrich Rebbe, they'll say Isha Mesiras Nefesh. Wow, the Friedrich Rebbe was a person who lived self-sacrifice, and of course he did. His whole imprisonment of the story of Gimmel and Yud Tammuz was connected to Mamish Mesiras Nefesh, like we learned in the Maimon Yeshua Kain. A goy, genius, and a scholar, deep scholar in Torah. Baal Midah is a person with great attributes. Tzaddik, a righteous person. Baal Ruach HaKodesh, a person with divine spirit. Malumid V'nisim, miracles happen all around the Rebbe. V'oid, all different kind of things that we want to attribute to describe the uniqueness and greatness of the Friedrich Rebbe. The God will be Yosef Shvachim Elu, And when we describe these things, it's not just saying them casually. There are Pi Hagdaris V'Teres Chassidus as Chassidus, which is the essence of everything. Explains what are these titles, what does it mean to be Mesiras Nefesh, Mahu Mesiras Nefesh, Mahu Goin, what's a true person of Mesiras Nefesh, what's the true definition of a Goin. Nevertheless, the Rebbe says, it's very nice that people like to say that, you're missing the point. And the main point, the problem with this is, what you're missing is an essential point. And not only is it an essential point to talk about something as if it's abstract, but the point that we're missing is the point that's most important to us. To us, the community of the Chassidim of the Rebbe, and the ones who are connected to the Rebbe. What's the definition? What are we missing? That he's the Nasi. That's the whole point. Because to us, the main thing, Rebbe is a Rebbe. And not just any Nasi, a Nasi Chabad, head of the Chabad. Nasi, what does it mean to be a prince? Nasi is an acronym for Rosh Alpha Yisrael, the head of the Jewish people. He's the head. Like a head and the brain is the highest point of the koima of the person, of the form of the person. And from the head, everyone draws energy. Everyone draws energy from the Nasi. When a person connects, cleaves to the Nasi, Kishurim and you're tied, become one. It brings the person to the root higher and higher. You're drawing energy from the Nasi. And that's why the most important to describe, you want to see who the Rebbe is. The most important thing about the Rebbe is he's the Nasi. Not that some abstract idea that he's a tzaddik or Mesiras Nefesh. These are all ideas that you're trying to say, oh, you know how great this person is, but what's up to do with you? If the Rebbe has Ruach HaKodesh, what it has to do with you is that he's your Nasi. You are drawing energy from the Rebbe. That's what it means to be connected. Being a Kamasug and a Sim, there's different levels of what a Nasi gives to a Chassidim. Elo Asher Shva'asim V'chins Pnimis is the idea of giving an internal source of life. Those who give it in a more encompassing way. Is the Nasi for the revealed parts of Torah, the hidden parts of Torah, or both of them. To learn from the Nasi ways of service and ways of Chassidus. Also your material dependencies also could be one of the things that the Rebbe gives you. There are some Nasiim, the level of Nasi, that either is in one of these things or all of these things. When the Rebbe says, this is Hayami from always, Badat, including now, Inyan and Haggis and Sicha Chabad, this is what it means to be a Nasi of Chabad. From the Alter Rebbe. Until the Frierdiker Rebbe included, of course, included our Rebbe. Everything that defines a Nasi is what the Rebbe is. He gives us internally, he gives us makiv, encompassing in Torah and avoidance, in both Torah and in Niglam Chassidus, in avoiding our service, in Glis Chasadim, our ability to act in ways of Chasadim. Ruchni is spiritually the Gashmis and our material. The Rebbe is one address for every single hashpah that you need. Over Mela, therefore, that's the connection between a Chassid and a Rebbe is. He's connected to us, and we're connected to him in all our 613 limbs and arteries. There is no part that has no connection that's connecting or drawing energy from another place. There's no other address. There's one address. You don't. The partisan said he learned from Kalev Ben Yipuna that he goes to the Kaisel to daven to be Mekosher to the Rebbe. Why? Because Kalev went to Hebron to daven to be Mekosher to Moshe Rabbeinu, because everything comes from Moshe, and from Moshe of the generation. By us is the Rebbe. Therefore, every one, man and woman, Echad is man, Ba'achas is woman. We must know, what does it mean, Ladas? Not just casually. To get deep in your mind, and to wedge this into your thinking process. He is the leader, he is the head. From the Rebbe, from the Rebbe comes all flow, Gashmius, material, Ruchnius, spiritual. By day Hiskashrus, when you connect to him. And how do you connect to him? We know how we're supposed to be mekusher to the Rebbe, as the Rebbe wrote many times. The Takanis of the Rebbe, Rambam 3 prakim a day. Someone came to the Rebbe and asked the Rebbe, I need a parnasa, please. Reichik's famous thing. The Rebbe says, does that person learn 3 prakim Rambam? You want hashpos, you have to do what the Rebbe wants. 3 prakim Rambam is what it is. And other things, doing the Rebbe's Mifsayim and all the Mifsayim and all the things that the Takanis of the Rebbe, from Aleph until Tav. Then Kshum Yechadim, that when you become tied in one, Shirish in the root, Shirish Asharish, the root of the root, Ad L'mayla, Kulu, sign of Menachem Shner saying, Gimmel Tammuz, Tavshin Yod. Imagine that. The Rebbe said this 44 years before the Gimmel Tammuz, the Yortzeit, wrote this in Brooklyn, New York. Wishing everyone a meaningful Gimmel Tammuz. Next class will be posted. Bezras Hashem.